another way of coming across, another way of our performance having great exposure. That's really, really what it's all about. Okay, so again, the weather is cold here in Canada, a beautiful weather in South America. I'm not sure what the weather is like where our guest is calling from, but we will ask. And let's get started before we run out of time. So I'll be right back, everyone.
Canadian show, North American radio show, and now worldwide show, the Lizyt T Blog.
That is right. I need to know who you are, what to do, contact info, anything new, and one of those questions. We will have an amazing show. Today, as I mentioned earlier, we have a singer-songwriter. Her name is Lizyt Moldner, and she is beautiful, as you see in the pictures on our social. She is gorgeous, gorgeous blonde lady, which is focused on taking American country and bluegrass to the next level. Liz Moldner is putting a twist on on her music, creating cross-genre hybrid of molded alternative rock. So rather than sticking to the Alabama roots, but okay, they said there she is, Alabama roots, and continuing the tradition of country music. But I love country music. Lindsay drew inspiration from the parallel universe of music inspiration with music that she grew up. So it was a weird mix of summer porch, bluegrass, and gospel, my favorite heavy metal, and alternative rock. I love. She was always a wildflower. She didn't quite fit anywhere, and that kind of approach, she it started her own genre, her own music. She'd like to experience it, she says, adding that is also considering producing hip hop track. And although it is a genre that not many women are willing to try their hands at, it's so true. Growing up, she experienced several severe depression, and it's common throughout the younger generation nowadays. I'm hoping that you're okay through COVID. That manifested itself and musical expression. Thank God you have music, and it really left her. Explained her outlet, and is still here, which is awesome. And now firmly back to songwriting after Fractured, that's I guess the name of the song. She is already working in her next project to release early, I guess she did release it in October, supporting new artists, and she's building the foundation for her label, Rock Prairie Record. Awesome. Wow, so much to learn. So without further ado, everyone, let's welcome Lindsay with a hello, beautiful and gorgeous blonde. Welcome to Canada. Welcome to the Lizyt Show. How are you doing this evening?
I'm doing great. It's actually pretty warm here this week, so we're just kind of enjoying the weather actually in t-shirts down here in Oklahoma.
Oklahoma. I'm so jealous. I went for a walk with my daughter's dog and hoping that the weather would be as bad, but I did encounter -5, which is awful, but the wind just kind of goes through it, and every place that has a little bit warmer weather than we do here, which is every year. I mean, we complain, but it is what it is. So
Canada to me is like a different planet. I couldn't imagine.
Believe it or not, every time we go to the States, people recognize us as Canadian, and people do notice that we are different. Although we speak the same language, and although we are in the north part of the world, to me we're all the same. But I completely understand. So, Lindsay, I was reading your bio, and look at you. You've gone from different genre, but what music, let's start from the beginning, because one of the things that I love to ask our guests is just how music was a huge influence, and we read a little bit about that. But what started you, with music early in your life? We're talking about, like, you look like you're on your 20s, but let's go farther than that. What influenced music in your life?
Actually, my dad was a vocalist and a drummer for a southern rock group. I'm actually from Alabama, so I kind of grew up sitting on his lap, when he's playing the drums, when he goes to his gigs, and that stuck with me. He's still in the music business in a way. He refurbishes instruments and schedules things for bands and all. But I kind of turned to that, I guess, when I got to be a teenager. I went through, like you said before, a depression, and really it became an outlet. It almost became like a safe in itself. And you'll hear that a lot with musicians that go through trauma, and that, and that's the way they cope. That's our outlet. That's how we take all of our emotions, all of our expressions, the perceptions of the world, and we transform them into notes. And it's a highly intensely personal process, especially when you're putting music out there. You're saying, this is what I'm about, this is what I'm thinking, this is how I perceive the world. And a lot of people are afraid to do that. That's one of the things that I've come across in my marketing and promoting people, is they're afraid to brand themselves, because they are. It's a vulnerability to stick yourself, right in the middle of everyone and say, hey, this is me, look at me, and be judged. It's hard for people to do that. And that's why people struggle so much on promotion. That's why they get on Facebook, and that's why they get on Instagram and they blast their links, but they don't actually talk much about themselves. What I want to get across is that people, you are your brand. If you want to commercialize, you are your brand. If you want to put songs out there for family and friends, you're still your brand. You are the originator of those perceptions, of those thoughts. I think that's it's important to me, especially with the clients that I work with, to make them understand you're more than your music. However you came about, your songwriting process. A lot of us came about it the same way, and it was through depression. I think it's intermixed with a lot, especially with the darker genres. I say I'm a fusion artist. I grew up country. Obviously, you probably hear that in my accent. But I decided to warp it. I decided everything I touch, I try to warp it. And because that's how I feel it. I'm not a completely Southern creation, and I'm not a thrash metal type person. I fall more towards the hard rock, towards the alternative. Growing up, my favorite, I was a goth kid, and my favorite bands were 9 Inch Nails and Marilyn Manson, and that's what I grew up on. Instead of feeding my depression, it allowed me to escape from that. And I know that teenagers now, that's what they're looking for too, is just a validation. And the music kind of does that. It can validate somebody.
I love it. Yeah, it's so true. I like when you said that you are your brand, and that's really, as a marketing person, I guess you're not only a musician yourself, not only you are a singer-songwriter, but you're also a producer or PR person. And I love that you're helping other people, helping other musicians to see that when you're marketing yourself, it's you, right? It's not just your music, it's your look, it's your logo, is your social presence. Especially nowadays, it doesn't matter if you have a website enough. You are If you are on social, that's really what stipulates the whole thing of your career. And it's hard. I completely understand that it's challenging for people to be able to be constant on social unless you have somebody that does it for you, like a PR person or a virtual assistant. But if you're doing it yourself, you got to put in the work and you got to put in a lot of hours just to make sure that people know, especially nowadays. So one of the things that I wanted to ask you was with COVID, I'm not sure how bad things are in the States right now or in the state that you're living at. And here in Canada, we are on lockdown red zone, which is basically everything is closed. We're back to what we had back in March. And performance is, I feel so much from musicians that had gigs for New Year's and gigs for Christmas. All those are gone unless you're performing out of the living room, which that's becoming a thing now. I mean, you put in your studio right on your living room, and you play for the world on social. Is that something that you're exploring yourself as well, or advising people that you help out with their music to be able to perform online?
Ideally, yeah, that's the way that we want it to be right now. And with technology, as evolved as we are, you can play an entire set. You can collaborate right there in the room with the virtual room with 5 other musicians or whatnot, and produce the same sound, but you lose something in the experience. And I think that it's causing there's an upheaval of sorts in the music community because people do miss touring. They do miss being able to get out there on the stage and be physically present. Talking to a screen is one thing. If your intent is to commercialize, it doesn't really matter either way, but there is an intensely personal experience with going out there and actually playing and having audience feedback, which you don't necessarily get online. There's about 20,000 songs, best recollection, it's about 20,000 songs that are pushed out a day.
That's right. And I hear this constantly with all the musicians that I've interviewed all over the world, that not just in Canada, the U.S., but, I've had musicians from Africa, from South America, and they all tell me the same thing. The hardest part is to get feedback, to receive that feedback. Although the hearts are flying like there is no tomorrow, and the hearts and the smiley face and the thumbs up, but to be able to receive, unless there is another way that we should explore, or somebody should invent, that applause can come through the screen so you can hear, because it's like adrenaline for you guys. It's to be able to hear this, and it drives you. It allows you to continue going, and not to be able to have that, even though you're performing online, is not the same.
Yeah, it's like a glass wall there. When you're on stage, when you're playing, you get to see the audience expression. If you've been out, if you're a fan and you've been out and you've seen, your favorite band in person, these are memories that people carry for decades. They still remember exactly what happened at their first concert for a reason, because it's almost a spiritual type experience that we don't necessarily get, online. And people really we just want to normalize. We want to go back to being able to see our, face-to-face type interactions. And it's quite sad. We do the best we can with what we have, but it's just not the same.
Not the same. Not the same. So, what are you doing to reinvent yourself, or what are you doing to keep the momentum that is kind of not there as much anymore? But how do you keep yourself going, and obviously interviews and radios playing your song, that's part of it? Anything else that you're supporting the people that you represent or the people that you help out with your music? How do you cope?
What I've
How do you
shifted
get inspired?
away from the music. Well, I've shifted away from the music portion for the moment. I had a couple of projects that I've put on hold because I'm really, right now, I'm just pushing and promoting other artists. There's a lot of people that don't have studios. There's a lot of people that don't have collaborators. There's a lot of people that I've listened to, and I do personal reviews every day that are, I mean, they're intensely technically proficient. Their songs are on point. They're very great lyricists. You know, their mixing and mastering is on point. You know, and I think they have a lot of potential. So what I do is I throw myself behind them, and I've gone into the hole. Basically, I've worked at a deficit to try to push some of these people. You know, I'll find them online. I actually run a group online, singer-songwriters and musicians. We have about 50,000 group members, and I do a spotlight feature. And then I've got a Spotify, just started a new Spotify list where people could submit there, and I listen to each one of those, each submission. And at the end of this promotion, this particular campaign, what I'm going to do is because I do PR and because I do EPKs, which is the electronic press kit, which is basically a resume, a portfolio for that musician band. I'm doing the content creation for the winner of this thing.
Wow.
That, you know, hundreds of
That's
hours.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work, and kudos to you.
It is.
It's a lot
but
of
I
work.
believe in
Yeah, and kudos to you, Lindsay, that you know, you are putting 100% in what musicians are going through, and you're supporting them, and you're doing everything you can. And I hope and pray that things do get better, and you're able to, you know, in the near future, hopefully 2021, it is a better year, and a lot of musicians are back at it, you know, playing. And let's talk about Fracture. Fracture is a song that is playing here right now in the background. Can you tell us what inspired you to write the song, to come up with it? What happened? Just a little bit of, it's a love melody, by the way. It's pretty cool.
Well, what I've put out is basically instrumentals, and I've written instrumentals for other people. But Fracture was more, if you go to my Google and you Google my name, it comes up as a country artist. But I've been trying to get that changed and claim my knowledge panel to change and go more towards the fusion alternative portion. So this was kind of a kind of an experiment with different sounds. And this is what I would consider more my genre. It gets a little bit darker than that, but to me, it was something that I needed to express. I didn't need to sing it. I just needed to play it out. And I have my recorder on me. I have a field recorder. I have my phone, and sometimes I'll just hum a melody, you know, something, whether it's I'm reacting to something positive or negative, and I'll just the creative process sometimes for people, and I know it's especially true for me, is kind of chaotic sometimes. I'll think of something, I'll jot it down. I've got like 7 notebooks right in front of me right now that I've got my DAW, and I'll get in there and I'll hum something, and I'll, you know, compose it, and it just kind of takes off on its own. And sometimes I will find it as I go along, and then sometimes it just plays itself out. And that was basically what happened with Fractured. And that's a raw demo take. Somebody uploaded that to the web. I was not actually promoting that. And so it's been that's a raw take. It's not a mastered take. And I've been trying to get that actually taken down until I can master it. It was a little bit premature for whatever platform it was to put it out there, but it captures my raw feelings at the time anyway, you know.
I love it. I love it, and I think that because it took a life of its own, and it took people started to like it. And I think you should just roll with it. People will get to know you for one thing, and obviously you're, as you said, you are trying to change and to update it and make sure that people know more of you, not just about with the song Fracture,
Yeah,
which is I think
exactly.
is awesome.
Yeah.
So let's talk about a little bit before we started running out of time. Let's talk a little bit about the reaction of family, friends. That they're seeing you 100% dedicated to your music, now helping other artists, which is great. What is the reaction? Supportive? I hear everything, by the way. I hear parents saying, "Oh, you should have, become a doctor," or as most parents or most family members or friends, they're just like, "Yeah, go for it, 100%. We're here for you." What's the reaction?
Well, I just got out of the military last year. So music has always been a big part of my life, like I said, from infancy on. And I put it on hold for about 16 years to concentrate on my military stuff. And so when I made a plan, when I get out of the military, when I ETS, I'm going to go back to music. And I started out slowly. I accumulated my studio. And at first, everybody's like, what are you starting out doing? What is your business plan? And it was really just administrative stuff that they were confused about. Overall, my daughter rocks my she's rocking my T-shirt right now. Overall, it's been great. I haven't had any detractors in my family. They're just like, hey, get it, do your thing.
Go for it, 100%. Do it. The fact that your daughter is wearing your T-shirt, that tells you a lot. My girls, I've been doing this for about 5 years. They're still not wearing my T-shirt. So you know what? Kudos to you for having your own daughter and family members supporting you 100%. Lizzy, I can't believe that time is running by so quickly here. I mean, it's been a blessing, an honor, and a pleasure having you here all the way from the States here in cold Canada. Sharing your life, your expertise, sharing your amazing story that you've gone through depression and come back, and now you're not only helping yourself, but you're helping other people around the world with their music. So that's very commendable. Kudos to you, and I congratulate you for doing this, especially in hard times like this. And we will promote your music throughout our shows here daily for people to be able to get to know you better. And we will follow you on all social, Facebook, Instagram. I assume that that's where you are. So can you actually give us, as the theme of the show goes, tell us who you are, what you do, contact info, where can people follow you?
Sure. I'm on Facebook. I'm on under Lindsay Wilkins Mulder, Lindsay Wilkins, WILKINS -MULDER. That is my personal profile. And then I've got the Rock Prairie Productions. It's under Rock Prairie Studios for Facebook. My Instagram is Lindsay792001. And then my website is www.rockprairieproductions.com. And reach out to me, message me. I'm here. I'm like the easiest person to talk to. Just I'm down to earth, and that's one of the things that that's really a big sticking point with me. I really enjoy talking to people, and I thank you for having me on the show. It's been a great experience, and thank you for what you do as well.
Thank you, sweetheart. Yeah, thank you so much. It's been an awesome experience as well. And I wish you a Merry Christmas for you and your family and your daughter, and all the great success coming up 2021. You're the best. And
yes,
definitely we'll be talking about you throughout our social media. Have a wonderful evening.
You too. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Bye.
so polite, so polite. Love it. So that was it, everyone. We will play some songs before we completely run out of time. We went a little over, not to worry, but we do have quite a bit of selection, and love for you to interact with us. The show is recorded, by the way, so if you just logged in or if you just missed it, you can always reach out to us through our social, Facebook /Lizyt Radio, and Instagram, The Lizyt Show, Twitter, The Lizyt Show, LinkedIn. Yes, we're doing TikTok. We're everywhere. So thank you so much, everyone, and here's some music.
It looks so sad, tears are in your eyes.